Greetings, YouTube. This is episode 2 of TEW 2016 WWF, The Price of Hulkamania. We are live for the Superstars of Wrestling, held in front of 3,648 people in the John E. Carlson Coliseum in North Dakota. And the show opens up with a video package with our hosts Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura going over today's show, in which we'll see Rick Martel of the Can-Am Connection taking on one half of the WWF Tag Team Champions, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. We will see in action Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. We'll see the Macho Man Randy Savage in action and an interview with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. We will also see in our future matchup the Dream Team, consisting of Greg the Hammer Valentine and Brutus Beefcake, teaming with the adorable one, Adrian Adonis, as they take on the team of Jacques and Raymond, the Rougeau brothers, and Rowdy Roddy Piper. And we will also get the historic contract signing between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant for their upcoming encounter at WrestleMania 3 coming up in just under 2 weeks' time. And then Gorilla Monsoon goes on to say how he's been talking with WWF President Jack Tunney, and over the course of the coming weeks and months, there will be new talent coming into the World Wrestling Federation, thus proving that the WWF is the place to be in professional wrestling. And that segment got a 75B- rating. And we go to our first match of the evening in a bout that had decent wrestling from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Rick Martel defeated Jim Neidhart in 13:31 by pinfall with a roll-up. So, how I envisioned this match to go down: Jimmy Hart and Bret Hart is at ringside, giving Neidhart the moral support, and of course Tom Zink is at ringside supporting Rick Martel. And then, near the end of the match, Martel gets Neidhart in the Quebec Crab. Bret Hart jumps up on the apron, but then Tom Zink pulls him off and they start fighting while the referee is distracted with them. Jimmy Hart pops up on the apron and he's getting Martel's attention, and of course, being the gullible babyface, Martel lets go of Neidhart and he goes over and grabs Jimmy Hart, and he's threatening to hit Jimmy. Neidhart gets up and he runs towards Martel to knee him in the back, and then Martel, knowing what was going to happen, he moves, he hits Jimmy Hart, and then schoolboys Neidhart and gets the pinfall victory. So Neidhart and Martel doesn't click as opponents, which hindered the match quality, because otherwise I would think maybe we might have gotten a C- rating at the very least. Neidhart had an in-ring performance of 50, Martel 48, no worker improvements. The next segment, Mean Gene is at the interview stage with Bobby the Brain Heenan and Hercules. And Bobby Heenan is talking about how, a number of months ago, he bought the contract to Hercules from Slick for a very, very, hefty price tag, but he felt it was worth it. Hercules, is a great talent, and he, did a few changes with Hercules. He cut Hercules' hair. He got rid of some of his, ring attire. He leaned, he kind of leaned up Hercules, got him a little more in shape. Not to say he was already in shape before, but he, made Hercules a little more leaner than he was before. And once that happened, other managers from around the world have taken notice to Hercules and saw what kind of job I did to him. and I had gotten offers from multiple managers to acquire Hercules' services. Well, being the businessman that I am, being the brain, I sold the contract to Hercules for double the price that I had originally paid for him to Slick. And at this time, I would like to introduce to you Hercules' new manager. He is none other than Skandar Akbar. And out comes Skandar Akbar, which he was familiar with, most recently been in World Class Championship Wrestling in the Mid-South area. And he comes up to the podium, and Okerlund's like, so Heenan, how much money did, the Skandar Akbar pay for Hercules' contract? And Heenan laughs off. He's like, little man, that's none of your business. The amount that Mr. Akbar paid is between me and him. And from now on, any questions in regards to Hercules will be directed to Mr. Skandar Akbar. And I would like to say, Mr. Akbar, it's been a pleasure doing business with you. And rest assured, I have trained him properly. And upcoming at WrestleMania 3, I have instilled him all the wisdom that I can, being the brain, so he will beat Billy Jerk Haynes at WrestleMania 3. And he shakes Akbar's hands, he shakes Hercules' hands, and he walks off the stage. And then Akbar takes the mic from Mr. Okerlund, and he's like, well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is General Skandar Akbar, and I am the leader of Devastation Incorporated, and I have come to the World Wrestling Federation because this is the premier wrestling federation in all the world, and I feel I've conquered everywhere else I went, and now I want to come here and take over the WWF. And what better way to build my army than someone who was built like a Greek god, the mighty Hercules. And together we're going to go straight to the top of the WWF. So, yeah, I don't know if you caught last episode. Hercules and Bobby Heenan do not click as, Bobby Heenan and Hercules made for an awkward pairing. So right then and there, I realized I basically had to make a switch at manager for Hercules. And I did some testing, did some tryouts, and Skandar Akbar was the one that had the best chemistry with Hercules. He wasn't my first choice, but I went with Slick. I wanted to go back to Slick because, the whole Power and Glory team up in the early 90s. I figured, maybe that's something I could do in the future, but him and Slick in this game did not have good chemistry. And then there was a few other people that I had auditioned for the role, and that didn't go over well, and Akbar was the only one that I felt was worthy of the spot that actually had decent chemistry with Hercules. So there you go. Skandar Akbar is in the WWF now, and he's managing Hercules. So that segment got a 66C plus rating. And then we move on. In a terrible match, Hercules defeated Tom Magee in 6:03 by submission with a full Nelson. Tom Magee had an in-ring performance of 21 and Hercules 66. No worker improvements. The match got a 54C minus rating. After the match, Hercules would not let go of the full Nelson on Tom Magee, which brings out Billy Jack Haynes to, attack Hercules and try to get Hercules to release the hold on Tom Magee. And it ends with Billy Jack Haynes putting his version of the full Nelson on Hercules. So, no worker improvements for that segment, which got a 62C rating. Next segment, we get a backstage segment with Rick Martel and Tom Zink. And Zink is like, well, you won, and we proved that we could beat the Hart Foundation, but you still haven't gotten back to me on finding a manager, because even though, you got the win tonight, we still were fighting against the odds. Bret Hart was out there and I was out there too, but there was still Jimmy Hart. We need, that extra piece to the puzzle to counter Jimmy Hart. Because, even though we won this time, next time might not be, the same result. And Rick's like, Tom, I know where you're coming from, but if anything, tonight proves that we can beat the Hart Foundation without a manager. I mean, trust me, I know where you're coming from, but I'm not sure I could commit to a manager, because I've seen a lot of bad things that managers have done to the people they're managing, and I don't want us to go down that rabbit hole. So as of right now, I don't think it's the best idea. And Zink's like, I wish you would, change your mind, but hey, uh, I'm with you 100%. Let's, maintain our focus and winning those tag team titles. So basically, Zink is still pushing for them to get a manager, but Martel's like, just not sure about it. So that segment got a 67C plus rating. Next segment, in a decent match, Randy Savage defeated Jim Powers in 809 by pinfall. Jim Powers had an in-ring performance of 46, Randy Savage 88. No worker improvements. The match got a 76B minus rating. Not too bad there. Randy Savage definitely carried that match though, but hey, I'm not complaining. And then afterwards, Mean Gene is on the interview podium again, and his guest is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And he comes out to hype up his upcoming Intercontinental Championship match against Randy Savage at WrestleMania 3. And Steamboat basically saying he's back and he's coming after revenge on Randy Savage. And, he might have gotten the best of him before. He might have put him out of action, but just like a dragon, this dragon breathes fire, and he's going to burn Savage down and win the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 3. No worker improvements, but that interview got an 84B plus rating. Next segment is a video hyping up the recent feud between Butch Reed and Coco Beware. Just basically recapping the incidents that have resulted in the match being signed for WrestleMania 3 between the two. And I got a 60C rating. And in a bout that had decent wrestling but didn't have much heat, the Magnificent Morocco defeated Special Delivery Jones in 638 by pinfall with a Tombstone Piledriver. And I forgot to add that in, but Magnificent Morocco has introduced Sir Oliver Humperdinck as his new manager. He is no longer being managed by Mr. Fuji and is now being managed by Oliver Humperdinck. I am phasing out Mr. Fuji as a manager because honestly he's not very good, and there's other managers that I've signed that can replace him easily. So, I mean, Fuji's still going to be around, but he's not going to have much of a presence. And I forgot to do something to set that up. Honestly, I don't think I would have really have booked that and the angle with Heenan, Hercules, and Akbar earlier in the show, because I think that would have been too much at one time. I think I just forgot I had set that up when I booked this match, but it is what it is. SD Jones had an in-ring performance of 41, Morocco 75, no worker improvements, and the match got a 68C plus rating. And next segment, Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik and Slick are in the ring. Slick demands the fans stand up for Comrade Volkov's singing of the Russian national anthem. So Volkov gets in the ring and he goes, you know, he does his singing of the Russian national anthem, and this draws out the Killer Bees, and they, you know, shut them up by drop kicking Volkov and the Sheik, and you know they celebrate. So basically, to get revenge on, you know, the Iron Sheik costing them their match against the Dream Team last week, and to further their feud. This segment got a 52D plus rating. But we go right on into an extremely short match. Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov defeated Brad Ringens and Barry O in 5:15, when Nikolai Volkov defeated Barry O by pinfall with a Russian sickle, which honestly I've never really seen him use it as a finisher. He always used the backbreaker, but it is what it is. Barry O had an in-ring performance of 21, Brad Ringens 56, Nikolai Volkov 67, and the Iron Sheik 68. Nikolai Volkov is improving in performance skills, and Brad Ringens in performance skills. Segment got a 62C rating. Yeah, Iron Sheik was wasted on drugs. Thanks, Paul Bosch. And then we go on to a video hyping up the feud between King Harley Race and the Junkyard Dog. Basically, just recapping the events that has led up to this point, and that got a 77B rating. Next set match, in a decent match, Jake the Snake Roberts defeated Iron Mike Sharp in 7:42 by pinfall with the DDT. And Iron Mike Sharp had an in-ring performance of 41, and Jake Roberts 86. No work improvements. The match got a 75B minus rating. After the match, we had a backstage pre-tape promo with Jimmy Hart and the Honky Tonk Man, where the Honky Tonk Man gloats about hitting Roberts with a guitar on the stake pit, and he promises that Honky Tonk Man promises Jake Roberts that he's got more of his greatest hits to play for Jake at WrestleMania 3, and afterwards he's going to play his #1 hit single, That's Right, Alright Honky Tonk Mama, for all of his fans at the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan at WrestleMania 3. So, just basic promo there. That got a 68C plus rating. Next segment, in a decent match, Adrian Adonis and the Dream Team defeated Roddy Piper and the Rougeau brothers in 1811, when Greg Valentine defeated Raymond Rougeau by submission with a figure 4 leg lock after interference from Dino Bravo. So basically how this went down is, you know, Piper and Adonis brawled to the back, which left the Rougeaus and the Dream Team on their own. The Rougeaus hit the Bombe de Rougeau on Beefcake. However, Johnny V was distracting the referee, and this allowed Dino Bravo to come in and hit Raymond with the side suplex, and this allowed Greg Valentine to lock in the figure 4, and the referee ended up counting the shoulders down of Raymond Rougeau. So Valentine had an in-ring performance of 64, Beefcake 64, Adonis 78, Piper 96, Raymond Rougeau 50, and Jacques 48. Raymond is improving in performance skills, and Valentine in performance skills. 81B rating, so good segment there. And then we end the show with the contract signing, which was done in an office between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. And Bobby Heenan is there, and Mean Gene is presiding over the thing with Jack Tunney there to, you know, make sure everything is signed and proper. With Hulk Hogan signing the contract, and he's, you know, ranting about how Andre broke his heart, how, you know, Andre, you know, Hogan looked up to Andre, all the Hulkamaniacs looked up to Andre, and then Andre stabbed him and all the Hulkamaniacs in the back because he got greedy, and Andre didn't come to him directly if he wanted a title shot so bad because Hogan would have given Andre anything he wanted because he thought that much of Andre. Andre taught him everything about how to treat people with respect, how to you know thinking of the fans and everything like that, and Andre just threw it all away, and then he blames Bobby for brainwashing Andre, and Bobby's like, Hogan, you've docked Andre for all these years, and you had the audacity to say that I brainwashed him. No, I didn't brainwash him. The only thing that I did is I got him something that you want to give him for all these years. That's a shot at your WWF title. And come WrestleMania 3, you're going to be looking at the new WWF Heavyweight Champion and still undefeated Andre the Giant. And then Okerlund is like trying to get Andre to say something, but he just looks a hole into Hogan, and he signs the contract. And Okerlund's like, Andre, after all these years, you've got to say something to Hogan. And Andre just kind of smirks. He's like, I have nothing to say. WrestleMania 3, I will do my talking then. And he calmly stands up, and he, glares down at Hogan, and him and Bobby walk away, and the show ends with Hogan just, frustrated and disappointed with how his former best friend is acting. So that segment got a 95 A-star rating. Tremendous. So hopefully this gives us a good show overall, and we get the post-show battle royal, which of course is won by Hulk Hogan in 1732. The final four was Paul Orndorff, Kamala, and Tito Santana, with Paul Orndorff being the final elimination, and Kamala got the most eliminations over the course of the match. And they got a 57 C- rating, but that's inconsequential. And we end the show and got a 82 B rating. So pretty good rating. So if you like the episode, please give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. What do you think about the new managers that appeared on the scene, and how WrestleMania 3 is shaping up in just under 2 weeks in game time? Until next time, take care.